So I'm going to introduce Dr. Majed Henin. Majed is a graduate of medical school in Egypt and completed his training in general internal medicine and cardiology in Egypt in 2006. He went on to work then in Saudi Arabia as a consultant cardiologist until 2015 when he moved to Ireland, working initially as a consultant in Tipperary University Hospital. Majed was keen to pursue specialist registration at the time and therefore made the very brave decision to step back to a registrar post in 2018 and managed to successfully achieve entry to the specialist register for general internal medicine in 2019. He currently works as a physician in Ennis, where he acts as AMU lead and is also the associate clinical director. But interestingly, is also pursuing specialist registration in geriatric medicine now via the Irish alternative pathway. So Majed, thanks very much for your time this morning.
You're welcome. Yes.
I'm going to begin just by asking you to tell us about your pathway to specialist registration in Ireland and a little bit about how all of that went.
Yeah. So when I came to Ireland, I realized that there is 3 ways that I can go into a special registration. The first one was to go on a formal training program, and the second one is to go through the alternative pathway. And actually, for this one, there was 2 pathways: one through the UK system, which called Caesar pathway, and one through the Irish system as alternative way. But when I just only did my research, and then I found that the UK system at that time suit me better because it's actually could recognize all my overseas training, and then even all my training in Ireland will be considered. So, and then also the other thing that was the recognition of my BST, because my basic training done in Egypt. So Egypt is not listed country in Ireland to be recognized for the BST. So when I went through the Irish Medical Council, I was asked if I would like to go through the alternative pathway, I have to do a BST first. But in the UK system, they can recognize my BST, so that's why I chose the Caesar pathway to acquire my special registration. And then,
did you at any stage? I mean, you were already a very senior doctor by the time you arrived to Ireland. I mean,
yeah,
I know that the answer to this would be no, but did you ever consider the possibility of going back and starting at BST again?
No, so that's I couldn't see myself being an SHO. So, and then also when I find that there's a way to get my training recognized, so I said that I will take the chance and then try my best with the alternative pathway rather than repeating the training from the start.
And this is something we hear all the time. I mean, it just makes no sense to go back to the bottom of the ladder. So you obviously decided then to go down that UK GMC pathway at that time,
yes,
which was the Caesar pathway. Can you give us a sense of what that involved?
So it's actually it's just only a very, very clear pathway. So there's a very clear document on the systems. You can recognize anything you did after you get your membership. So anything before the membership is considered as a basic specialist training. And then if you would like to consider any training as an SPR level, so it has to be after the membership, which is exactly the same in the Irish system. So I just only you have to get registered with the GMC first, and then go into the general division, and then after that you open an application for a special registration, and then they will create for you an online portfolio, and then you start uploading your documents. So for the basic special registration, all what you need is a document called core training equivalent. And then you just only get it signed from your consultant supervisor who you worked with him for the last 6 months, and say that you already has all the basic skills matching the SHO. And then you start gathering your documents for at least 4 years, so 3 to 5 years. That's for the GIM. It's different from it's like every specialty had their own requirements, so you have to look to the curriculum of that specialty training and see how many years and then what exactly they require, and then you have to match your evidence with this one. The good thing with the UK system, they consider any experience at any level, either consultant level, if it's happened independent practice or even under supervised practice, provided it can be verified and then it can be genuine experience.
Can you give us a sense, before we get into it in any more detail, around the scale of what you had to gather? I mean, the amount of evidence that you had to produce in order to get
Yeah,
to specialist registration.
it's a huge amount of evidence because you use what's called triangulation. So you have to prove that evidence with a different ways. So for example, if you are doing an acute, you wanted to provide to prove your acute medicine experience, so you have to get your rota, you have to get a cat form, which is an assessment of your on call, and then you have to match this with your logbook. So that's how much evidence, and then you have to be very careful about collecting the data. And then, to be honest with you, it's all your responsibility. It's the responsibility for the candidate to ensure that evidence is high quality evidence, and then to fill the form correctly. And then because it's like it's at the end that it's you that you are the one who's trying to get this special registration, which is a big achievement.
So, I mean, obviously, a person can create all of these documents, but the documents also need to be verified as being true and accurate reflections of what
Yes,
you've done. That process, I mean, is it difficult to get people to verify your documents?
it will not be difficult if you do it on spot. So if you are gathering the document as you go, that will be easy because you do your post take round, you have the form with you, you finish, you meet with the consultant for 5 minutes, he goes through the document, he gets signed it, and then you keep it with you in your file. And then after that, you can stamp it from the hospital, and now it is authenticated and verified, and then you can use it for both Irish system and the UK system. But if you did not gather it on time, it will really be difficult because you have to go back and find that consultant who you did with him that post-take word round, or we did with him the case-based discussion, and he need to sign it. And maybe he left the job, maybe he's retired, maybe he already in a different post. So it's going to be not an easy. So what I recommend is you gather all the information, get yourself familiar with the system, and then know what exactly you need for each year to be considered as an equivalent to a training year, and then get the evidence as long as you go, and then keep it in your at file with you, and then you upload it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because increasingly both the GMC and the Irish Medical Council are placing much greater importance on documents that have been verified contemporaneously. I mean, documents that are verified, 3 years on are looked at a little bit more
Yeah,
circumspectly than.
they make it clearly that any evidence which done retrospectively would be given a less weight than the evidence which is done on time. So that's true.
Did you benefit from people who acted as mentors along the way when you were making your way through this process?
Oh, definitely. I still remember the advice that was given to me by my supervising consultant in Tipperary, that you have to go in a special registration. And then because if you are not in a special registration, that's going to be difficult for you. So that was my push from the start to start that process.
Is it possible for people to give you support even if they're not themselves experts in this sort of alternative pathway process?
Yeah, that's truly because it's like it's not only about knowing the system. It's like mentorship has a lot of things that they can do. So it's like evidence that's I think it's a responsibility for the candidate himself to do his research, and then to look for the form that is accepted by which authority he is going to apply to GMC or Irish Medical Council. And then this all documents is available online. You can download it. So it's but the mentorship is like getting you through all that educational pieces, and then how you are progressing against the curriculum of the specialty that you're applying to. That's exactly what I was benefit from the mentorship. And then even involving me in the research, involving me in educational activities, and then presentation, and then giving a feedback on my academic side, and then also my clinical progress. That's how people are like helping me, even they don't know, despite that they don't know anything, much information about the system, but I was just only giving them this information that according to the system I need to do this and this, and then they was just only use their experience and to guide me how can I achieve that evidence in a high quality. So that's very
Okay.
important. So I will not be able to do anything without having a good mentorship, mentors like supervising me all the time.
I mean, my last question for you, Majed, is that you have the somewhat unique experience of having now navigated successfully through the UK Caesar pathway, and much more recently having navigated through the Irish alternative
Yes.
pathway. Are they alike? I mean, is the experience similar?
So yeah, it's like to far extent they are similar pathway, apart from that the setup of the application for the UK one it's all online, but for the Irish one it's a paper application. So for the if you are applying for the Irish, it's very important to gather your documents as you go, because every page has to be signed and stamped by a hospital stamp. And then the easy thing about the Irish one, it's they send you a package with the forms that you need to fill in. And you have to fill in your evidence in these forms, like the audit form, the end of post summary form. So you have to, so you have that, you don't need to Google it. You don't need to go online and download it. You just email the Irish Medical Council. They send you a full package with guidance on how you can go through your application organizer with a separate pages for each. And so it's easier for you to build up your application with the Irish Medical
Okay.
Council, to be honest with you.
And should you seek that pack at the beginning of your
Yeah,
4 years or at the end?
yes. No, it's like you can request it at any time. So I actually requested twice. So I requested from at the beginning to know exactly what I need to gather, and then because it was about 6 months or 7 months, and there was a change in the documentation. So I just only emailed the Irish Medical Council again, and then they kindly has sent me an updated package. So which I used it for building up my application.
Majed, I think you've delivered messages very clearly here. I mean, the biggest thing I take from this is that that there's a lot of work in this for anybody
Yeah.
who's applying for it, but there's a big reward at the far end as
Big
well.
reward. That's the most
Yeah,
important thing. It's a life change. It's I would not be able to be a permanent consultant without having this. I will not be able to achieve all of this without getting the special registration. So it's really,
and
really
then I guess
important thing.
the other thing is to do it as you go, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
most
yeah.
important. It will save you a lot of effort and a lot of time.
Listen, Majed, thank you sincerely for your time, and I wish you every success in your ongoing career. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.